Welcome and good afternoon. This is Kimish Orr, and today we're going to take a look at the top 5 National League teams of the 1960s. This is in preparation for a project that I have going on, a Best of the Decades tournament featuring the top 5 American League and top 5 National League teams of, in this case, the 1960s. Prior projects, I've done the 1990s and the 1930s, and so the 1960s is next up. And I'm not pulling these rankings out of thin air. I'm actually using ELO ratings to determine what the top teams are. If you haven't heard of that, ELO ratings basically take in game scores, strength of schedule, wins and losses, of course, and that kind of thing to determine a score for each team throughout baseball history. And so I've taken a look at the top teams of the decade of the 1960s and kind of ranked them and picked the top 5 from each league. Now, I'm also to note, I'm taking the top 5. Only one team per franchise can be included in the tournament, so that way we don't have, in certain decades you may have 5 of the same franchise, if that makes sense, 5 Yankees teams or whatever. So in order to avoid that, I've taken just the top 5 teams, one from each franchise, one from the top 5 franchises to be included in this tournament. If you want to follow the action at any point, you can head over to baseballmaelstrom.com, which is the website where I keep track of all these projects. But I'm going to count them down from 5 to number 1 and kind of give you a little bit of a preview of who's on the team that you might know, that kind of thing, and any other things that are interesting. And I think you'll find that these National League teams are very exciting. They're going to be exciting to watch and exciting to see who comes out on top. So, with all of that said, let's start with number 5. Number 5 is the 1960 Pittsburgh Pirates. Yes, 1960 Pittsburgh Pirates. They were in 95, 59, and won. Yes, they had a tie game that year. They won the World Series in dramatic fashion over the New York Yankees. The one of the most famous home runs of all time, as you can see here in the photo, happened in Game 7. And what a team it was. The 1960s Pirates team had Smokey Burgess catching, Dick Stewart at first base, of course, Bill Mazeroski at second base, Dick Grote at short, Don Hoke at third, Bob Skinner in left, Bill Verdon in center, and Roberto Clemente in right field. So, great lineup. Pitching-wise, they have Bob Friend. He was 18-12 that year. Vern Law was 20-9 with 18 complete games. Those days are gone. Harvey Maddox and Vinegar Bend Mizell. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name right, but what a name it is. And then Roy Face saved some games. He led the team in saves that year. Kind of was their closer guy, and so an exciting team, and they are ranked 5th in the top 5 National League teams. So we head over to number 4, and number 4 is none other than the Miracle Mets, 1969 New York Mets. And in 1969, they went 162. It was the first season of divisional play in the major leagues, and they were assigned to the National League East. Now, they lost at least 100 games in 5 of the seasons since they joined the league. They never finished higher than 9th place in the 10-team National League, never won a season. However, they somehow came into 1969 and finished 162, 8 games ahead of the Cubs, and went on to defeat the Atlanta Braves in the National League Championship Series, and then defeated the Orioles in 5 games in the World Series. An incredible team, and some of the members on that team are Jerry Grote catching, Ed Crane-Poole at first base, Ken Boswell at second, Wayne Garrett at third, Bud Harrelson at short, Cleon Jones in left, Tommy Agee in center, and Ron Swoboda in right. A couple other guys on that had some significant playing time: Art Shamsky, Al Weiss, and of course pitching. What a pitching rotation they had! Tom Seaver, 36 games that year. Jerry Koosman, Gary Gentry, Don Cardwell. Their top four in terms of games started. Seaver, by the way, was 25-7 with a 2.21 ERA that year. Nolan Ryan was on the team. He had 89 innings pitched. And then in terms of relief, they had a couple of guys with some saves. Ron Taylor and Tug McGraw, both double digit in the save statistic. And so, again, the fourth best National League team of the 1960s. So heading to number three. Number three is the 1963 LA Dodgers. 1963 LA Dodgers. That was the year that Sandy Koufax won the Cy Young Award and the MVP award. 99-63 that year in the National League. 6 games over the Cardinals. Then they beat the Yankees. They swept the Yankees in the World Series that year, 1963. It's the first time that the Yankees were ever swept in the postseason, and it happened here in the World Series in 1963. And of course, if you're wondering about the team, you had John Roseborough catching, Ron Fairley at first, Jim Gilliam at second, Ken McMullen at third, Maury Wills at short, Tommy Davis in left, Willie Davis in center, and Frank Howard in right field. And pitching, you had Don Drysdale and Sandy Koufax. What a dynamic duo they are. Koufax was 25-5 with a 1.88 ERA that year. Don Drysdale 19-17 with a 2.63 ERA that year. Johnny Padres and Nick Wilhite also pitching for the team. They had what a stacked team that was. 1963 Dodgers. Be interesting to see how they perform here in the tournament. So number 2, heading into the top 2, and the number 2 National League team of the 1960s is the 1962 San Francisco Giants. It was their 5th year in San Francisco since they moved over from New York, and their 3rd season at Candlestick Park, by the way. They finished first in the National League. They were 103-62. They actually finished tied with the LA Dodgers for first place. There was a 3-game tiebreaker playoff to determine the pennant, and the Giants won 2 of the 3 games to take their first National League title since moving to San Francisco. So they were also the first NL champions of the 162-game schedule era, so that's something else of note. They went on to the 1962 World Series, where they did lose in 7 games to the New York Yankees that year. But just an incredible team. They had 1,552 hits in the regular season, which is the most in the club's San Francisco era. So very, very strong offensive team. And taking a look at the starters by position that year, Tom Haller catching, Orlando Cepeda at first, Chuck Hiller at second, Jim Davenport at third, Jose Pagan at short, Harvey Keenan left, Willie Mays at center, and Philippe Alou in right. Of course, you had Willie McCovey also on that team with significant playing time. The Alou brothers, Philippe and Matty Alou, both on that team. Very powerful offensive team. Of course, pitching, they had Billy Odell, Jack Sanford, Juan Marichal, and Billy Pierce were their top 5 starters. Gaylord Perry also had some playing time on the team. And then from the relief side, you had Stu Miller and Don Larson in the bullpen, each getting double-digit saves for the 1962 Giants. Which leads us with the top team of the 1960s in the National League, and that is the 1968 St. Louis Cardinals. 1968 St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals were 97-65 that season, winning their second consecutive pennant, topping San Francisco by 9 games. They did lose in 7 games to the Tigers in the World Series that year, and would be the last year they were in the World Series, or in the postseason even, until 1982. Following 1968 is when Major League Baseball announced plans to split the AL and NL, of course, as I mentioned earlier, with the 69 Mets. So, who was on that team? Well, you can see some of them here in this great photo. You had Tim McCarver catching. You had Orlando Cepeda at first. You had Julian Javier at second base, Dal Maxville at short, Mike Shannon at third, Lou Brock in left, Curt Flood in center, and Roger Maris in right. Yes, Roger Maris. If you want to, you head over and watch my best American League teams, and of course, one of those teams is the 1961 Yankees. So Maris making an appearance here at both ends of the decade, actually, once in each league, once with the Yankees and once here with the Cardinals. The pitching rotation that year, or pitching staff, Bob Gibson, of course, leading things up. He was 22-9 with that incredible 1.12 ERA. Incredible ERA that year. Nelson Bryles, 19-11. Steve Carlton was with the team, 13-11. Ray Washburn, 14-8. Kind of making up their top 4 in terms of games started. And then, of course, the relievers, you had Joe Horner, 17 saves, was the only pitcher on the staff with double-digit saves, but incredible team, and we'll see how Bob Gibson does here in this tournament. So overall, each of these teams just is going to be exciting to watch, has some really exciting players to watch, and it'll be great to see which of these teams comes out on top, not just in the National League, but who goes on to represent the National League in the World Series here between these teams. So a little bit about the tournament itself. It is the number 4 and 5. Number 4 and 5, of course, the 60 Pirates and the 69 Mets will play in a play-in series, a best-of-5 play-in series. Whoever loses that goes home, they're eliminated. But after that point, all of the series are going to be double elimination. So we have best of 5 series up until the World Series, which is best of 7. And anybody that loses their first series in the tournament will go down to a loser's bracket and have a second shot at making it up through the loser's bracket to make it to the World Series. So again, double elimination series tournament with best of 5 for most of the tournament up until the final round of the World Series. If the league championship series will have the top team from the winner's bracket in each league and the top team in the loser bracket facing off. And if the loser's bracket team beats the winner's bracket team, they'd each have one series loss, so they will play another series, and that one would be best of 7. But other than that, it should be interesting to see. Just to kind of give you an idea, I guess, of what the bracket looks like. We can go to the 1990 bracket here, and I can give you a kind of a look at that. And you can see there's the play-in series here, and then that's where we get into the double elimination series all the way through to the World Series. Yes, the prior winners, the 1930s winner was the 1931 Philadelphia Athletics. The 1990s winner was the 1998 Atlanta Braves. So who do you think will come out on top in the 1960s, best of the 60s? Leave that down in the comments. Let me know which teams or players are you the most interested in seeing how they do in this tournament against other top teams of the decades. I'm doing this with Season Ticket Baseball. Again, this is the third one that I've done. My goal is to do each of the best of the decades through baseball history, or as much as I can. And then at the end of that, we'll have a best of the best, if you will, tournament featuring the winners from each decade. So, of course, that's going to be many years down the road, but that's kind of my plan. And as always, if you want to follow this action, head over to baseballmaelstrom.com and you can follow the action as I go through. It's going to take me probably a few weeks to get this league set up, to finish setting up this league and getting everything organized. But be watching for that. In the meantime, I do have another project using Payoff Pitch, which is a Hall of Fame league, where I have teams of Hall of Famers in the American and National League team, or National League, American and National League, and one team in each league of non-Hall of Famers. And that one, I'm not doing a tournament, but a third of a season. So be checking that out if you're curious about that as well. You can head over to baseballmaelstrom.com and find all of those projects that I have going on. And so very interested to get into this and see how things go. Hopefully you'll follow along in this journey with me. Thank you so much for watching. We'll leave it here for now. And until next time, have a great evening.